Welcome back. Today we'll be looking over 5 useful SCPs. Starting off with one we really wouldn't mind having around the office, SCP-294, a drink dispenser, but maybe a more apt name for it is Drink Fetcher. This anomaly appears as an ordinary coffee vending machine equipped with a standard QWERTY keyboard, but dispenses much more than just coffee. Upon paying 50 cents and typing in your request, the machine will pour out a full cup of almost any matter that can appear in liquid form, be it coffee, water, motor oil, or even glass. Testing is still ongoing, but initial results have shown that the matter is likely transported from elsewhere before being dispensed, rather than materializing in the machine. This was made evident when a Foundation agent requested a cup of Joe, meaning to imply coffee, only for another nearby agent named Joe to fall unconscious. It was quickly ascertained that the cup contained a combination of Joe's blood, tissue, and other bodily fluids. Now, while this did confirm that the entity is likely somewhat sentient, it also resulted in the SCP being guarded at all times and reserved for personnel of clearance level 2 or higher. But it does sit in a Foundation break room to this day as a cost-saving measure. So, testing is still ongoing, but here are some notable experiments. One agent requested, "The best drink I've ever had." SCP-294 then delivered a dark fluid topped with white foam which was later identified as Vienna Lager. The paper cup was even printed with a color picture of 5 men and 2 women drinking beer on the beach, one of which was confirmed to be the agent that had requested the drink, who then confirmed that his favorite drink ever was a Vienna Lager he consumed at the beach with his friends. So this somewhat confirms the sentience theory, as well as the theory that the SCP possesses some sort of psychic abilities and can read people's minds. Another researcher keyed in a request for a cup of music. SCP-294 then produced a clear, sparkling fluid that tasted vaguely alcoholic. Following ingestion, subject reported feeling and not hearing a continuous rhythm, and demonstrated the ability to move and even dance with a certain fluidity that he had not previously shown. Testing on other abstract concepts is continuing. And finally, another notable request was an agent requesting the perfect drink. The machine dispensed a cup containing an odorless lavender liquid. After drinking this liquid, the subject appeared to go into shock. Tragically, the requester later took their own life, leaving a note which read, "I'm sorry, but at this point everything's just one big letdown." Requesting such a drink again is highly discouraged. None of the components of the drink have yet been identified. Personally, I'd stick to requesting coffee. Next up, we have an anomaly for the artists and writers among us, SCP-8378, a mechanical pencil that never runs out. Quite simply, this anomaly acts as a normal mechanical pencil branded Dark's Extraordinary Implements. However, each instance of this SCP seems to contain a functionally infinite amount of graphite of standard lengths, which is to say, it will never run out in normal use, and if the end of the pencil is removed, graphite will endlessly fall out of it. Now, there are several instances of these types of pencils, all of which were found during raids on the anomalous art group known as Are We Cool Yet? And currently they're used as part of the Foundation's Department of Surplus's efforts to offset the enormous cost of running the Foundation. In other words, they have these things open and upside down in a factory, and are selling graphite wholesale as a theoretically infinite low overhead source of revenue. But of course, as we saw with SCP-871, this anomaly does require some discretion, as an infinite supply of anything can theoretically lead to the end of the world if left unchecked. How much does a box of graphite even sell for? Anyways. Our next SCP is a more well-known one that I would just love to get my hands on. SCP-458, the Box of Infinite Pizza. You heard that right. This anomaly is nothing more than a Little Caesars hot and ready cardboard pizza box, but whenever it's opened, it instantaneously replicates within it the holder's subconsciously preferred choice of pizza, down to the sauce, cheese, crust, and toppings. Testing has shown that there is seemingly no limit to this, and the box appears to be indestructible. So this anomaly is simply stored in the staff canteen at Site-17 for anyone to use as they please. As you can imagine, this is a huge cost saver for the Foundation, and a big morale booster for Site-17. However, some discipline did have to be instilled in Site-17 staff at first, due to the obvious side effects of individuals with self-control issues having access to infinite pizza. They got fat. There's not much more to say about this one, it really is the perfect anomaly, but if ever you're curious, this anomaly was tested with a variety of other SCPs to see what their favorite pizza would be. Here's a quick overview, but if you'd like to read further into it, a link will be provided in the description of this video. Now this next SCP is one for the introverts out there. SCP-268 is a tweed wool newsboy cap, seemingly originating from Ireland in the early 1900s, with a label written in Middle Irish reading, "The garden is the serpent's place." When this hat is worn, everyone around seems to simply forget the wearer. It doesn't make them invisible, but more forgettable. Testing has shown that these effects strengthen over time, with new wearers simply being noticed in passing as an unremarkable person with a hat, to longtime wearers being able to have full conversations with people who will then immediately forget about the wearer's existence entirely. This is shown to be potentially permanent and detrimental, as noted in Addendum 26803, where a field agent who used SCP-268 for an extended period of time still appears on payroll and records, but no one in the Foundation seems to remember knowing them or hearing about them. Unfortunately, this anomaly has since gone missing, as one morning Foundation staff noticed it had been replaced with a note simply reading, "Thanks, I needed my hat back." Signed, LS. I couldn't find anything further on this, but if you have any idea who LS might be, let us know. And finally, a more simple but universally convenient anomaly, SCP-500, the cure-all pills. Another pretty simple anomaly to understand, SCP-500 is a small plastic can which currently contains 47 red pills, which, when taken orally, effectively cures the subject of all diseases within 2 hours. This has been shown to also cure anomalous ailments, such as infection via SCP-008, an anomalous alien virus, and SCP-409, an invasive crystal that attaches itself to flesh. Now, due to the extremely useful but limited nature of SCP-500, some safeguards had to be put in place in order to prevent personnel from using it to, say, cure a hangover, which did happen, so it's mostly been used for testing with other SCPs, with mixed results. Definitely the most promising of these experiments, however, has been testing with SCP-038, a tree that can clone anything that it touches. Cloned instances of SCP-500 have proven to have some beneficial effects, still curing the user about 30% of the time, and in 60% of cases where an infection is permanent, it at least halted progression, meaning this SCP crossover is essentially a way for the Foundation to just heal staff members suffering from otherwise incurable conditions, seemingly to no limit. Another similar result was achieved by placing one of these pills within SCP-914, a machine which can refine matter, which was tuned to the fine setting. This resulted in the creation of SCP-427, an amulet with anomalous healing properties. Now sure, the amulet can also turn people into violent, unkillable monsters, but what's an anomaly without a terrifying side effect? And that's all the anomalies we have for this week. Hopefully you'll now have a bit of a better appreciation for the fact that anomalies are more than just world-ending monsters or mind-altering concepts. Some of them are just plain helpful. So, as always, stay safe, and remember, is ignorance safer than truth?